All right, so before today, I've been kind of hinting at and planting some small seeds about thinking about this. So this is the more specific information about how and what to submit for the Cabaret Night art show. Okay, so the event, Cabaret Night, if you are not familiar, is on March 26th, it's a Thursday, and it's from 6 to 8 p.m. And what happens during that time is it's kind of like a music festival. Have you ever been to a music festival where there's like different stages and there's different performers happening kind of all at the same time? So it feels a lot like that, but within a school. So you heard on the morning show about how if you have a performing talent, right, singing, acting, poetry reading, comedy, playing an instrument, dancing, stuff like that, right, then you can submit to Frau's form to perform, and then Frau handles scheduling all of the different performing acts. So there will literally be like different stage areas. There will be a performing area in the library, one in the commons, and then the actual stage in the auditorium. And all three of those areas will have their own kind of schedule of performances, and there will be performances happening kind of all at the same time throughout the night. And people, your friends and family and community members who come, and other students obviously, they kind of circulate around throughout that whole schedule of events to kind of see the different performers, right? So you might have a friend in the library at this time, and then you might have another friend in the commons at this time, and you kind of figure all that out who you want to see. In between all of that is the art show. So typically there is one section of the art show in the library and then another section of the art show kind of in that hallway between Miss Danon's room and the commons, like if you were to go down that way. And the art show is openly viewable all night long. And right before the event starts, the judges come through and score all the works. So all of the artwork is viewable to the public. Everybody gets to kind of come through and see all of the different artworks, and oftentimes they will come through more than once because they might have some time in between the other performances. It all kind of works together really nice. There's like snacks and stuff like that. And then at the end of the night, the commons and the library kind of shut down, and then everybody goes into the auditorium and we give away the art awards. We announce those, and then there will be some like final acts of the night. Typically it's like the bigger groups, like a band or a big performing group, or there's like larger groups of people, and so then the audience watches those, and then they'll go home and come to school the next day because it's a Thursday night. Does that make sense? So you kind of know like what to expect. So like I said, it's open to the public. Friends and family come, community members come. We have some people come just to like see the performances, even if they don't know anybody. So it gets a really good audience, more than you might expect typically for a typical Thursday night. But you need to know how and what to submit for the art show. So you guys, as second semester art students, will submit something, okay? It'll either be something from the blue side or something from the green side. You also heard on the morning show, the past couple of days, that all NDA students are also eligible to submit for the art show, okay? They will only have access to the blue side because they will not have class projects if they are not in art class, okay? So I'm telling you that so that if you have friends that ask questions, you kind of know what's up and you can answer or at least direct them appropriately. If you ever don't know, just send them to me, okay? Although Frau did send out an email this morning that said I was Mr. Harpold, so if they don't know me, you might have to correct that. So here are your options, okay? You could submit a piece of art that you already created for a class project. So your word art, your neurographic drawing, your one-day inspired piece, your name drawing, like any of those that you have already completed, are eligible for the class show. Okay, so for the class show, if that is how you choose to participate, you will submit one piece, and it's artwork that you have already made for a class project that you have already finished. Okay, that work does not need a title. It does need to be matted. Okay, matting kind of looks like this. This would be like a white mat where there's like a frame around the artwork. Typically though, the mat is a separate piece of paper that's cut like a window, and that is attached on top of the artwork. The mat can be any color. Typically it's a color that kind of complements or goes with the artwork. We will have a day in class coming up in the next couple of weeks where we will just mat. We'll learn how to do that, and then we will have the time to put the mat on the artwork. So we will take care of that. That is coming up. But that is something that if you're submitting something that is paper, right, like that, then you will have to cut and attach a mat to it. If you're submitting something like a painting on a canvas or a sculpture, something that's three-dimensional, if it has thickness to it, then it doesn't need a mat. Then it's kind of presentation quality already. Although, if you are submitting something that is three-dimensional, you do have to have some sort of like base or stand for it if it doesn't stand on its own automatically. Make sense? Okay, so it has to be matted. Presentation quality, that should make sense to you by now. The class projects in the class show will not be judged. The judges don't look at those, they don't score those, they don't assess them in any way. Those are just for the public to see. They look really good hung all together. They're typically pretty impressive looking, but they are not eligible for the art awards or for having your work kept by the school and displayed permanently in the school. Okay, but the public will still see them. So if that is how you choose to participate, then you will click this link. You will have access to this slide in this document tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Okay, it's going to post tomorrow in Google Classroom. I wanted to talk to everybody first before this went out so that you understand how it works and what you want to do. Okay. The deadline to enter that is March 2nd, which is 3 weeks from yesterday, which is the same deadline that you have for your quarter 3 sketchbooks. So that's an important day. And then the artwork is due after you submit the form. The artwork is due in its matted, ready to display form by the end of that week, which would be Friday, March 6th. That is the Friday, the last day before spring break. So if you are leaving for spring break, you need to think ahead on that one and be proactive about getting that done before you leave. Questions on the class show side of things? Okay, I know this is a little confusing, but hopefully this resource will make more sense. So the other way that you can participate is for the juried show. When we say juried in art, it means that it was looked over and scored or assessed by a juror, which is like a judge, okay? In the past, we have had judges that are professional mural artists, like Bo Thomas and Andrew Linskins, who you've seen their murals downtown Green Bay. Bo Thomas does a lot of like the Packers players. Andrew Linskins does the big game day murals at Titletown when there's Packer games, and he has a bunch of murals downtown Green Bay and to Pier. We had one of the cinematographers from the Packers last year was one of our judges. So these are people who do art professionally for a living in various capacities. We've also had some art professors. So as we confirm and nail down who will be the judges for this year, we will let you guys know that information, but that is kind of the caliber of who they will be. And if you want to submit for the juried show, you can submit up to 3 different pieces. They do not have to be related or connected to each other at all. But the juried show is independently made artwork. So this would not be stuff that you have created for a class assignment or for a project that was assigned and graded. This would be stuff that you made on your own. Maybe you explored and investigated some sort of technique that you just personally wanted to try or were interested in. Maybe you do some sort of art or some sort of making on your own, like just for fun, that would be that kind of stuff, okay? It does not have to be traditional drawings or paintings. Art can be any material. It could be photography, it could be digital art that you make a print of, it could be sculpture, it could be, you know, things like clay or found object sculptures. It could be, we've had students in the past submit like fashion, like clothing items that they designed and made. In the past, one of the winners last year did woodworking, and he made like little wooden boxes out of different types of wood. We've had people make little character sculptures. One year, someone made a candle, like a custom sculpted candle out of wax. And it looked like a wedding cake, and it had like sprinkles and stuff on it, but it was all wax and art materials. It had a wick on the top. That one scored pretty well. So be thinking kind of, I know, outside the cliche box, right? It can be drawings or paintings, but it does not have to be. Okay, and you could also, like, if you have vacation photos, or you know, you guys take pictures all the time, right? If there's something that you took like with intent to be more than just like a snapshot in your phone, then talk to me. I can help you get that printed, and you can mat it, and you could submit that. So there are options, okay? If you submit work for the juried show, you do have to title it, okay? Now the title can be whatever you want. That's up to you as the creator. Think of the title as the most direct way that you have as the artist to communicate with the viewer, or with the judges in this case. So it guides the viewer to see your work in a particular way, to get a particular meaning from your work. That can be a very important piece of information. Titles are not the most easy thing to concisely boil down to, but in the form, I did give you a little resource about like helpful hints to create a title for your artwork, okay? So you do need to title your work. Optionally, in addition to that, you can also write an artist statement. So for our purposes, an artist statement will be a couple sentences up to a paragraph, okay? If you were to Google artist statement, you would find some pretty long, like sometimes multiple page documents. We are not doing something that long, but the artist statement is kind of like a longer passage of text that supports the title and that communicates from the artist to the viewer or to the judge what the work is about. So it might be what inspired the work, what the artist was going for, maybe some context as to how it was made or what went into it. It's just like supporting information to help the viewer understand how to interpret the artwork. And the reason that we offer that as an option to submit an artist statement, you don't have to. The reason we offer it is because last year, the judges, as they were going through and viewing the works, because they view it just on their own, like you are not there to have a conversation or to present your work in any way. They wanted more information. They wanted to know, what was this person thinking? What were they going for? What were their ideas and feelings about whatever they were doing? So they suggested that that might be helpful. So potentially, this is not a guarantee, but it could set your work apart from other artworks that don't have an artist statement, or it could just help the judges understand more in depth about what you were going for with your work. Okay, so that could be an advantage to you from a judging standpoint, but also from just viewers understanding your work standpoint. Okay. Work for the jury show also needs to be matted, or it needs to have a stand or be ready to hang in some way. It needs to be presentation quality, and like I said, that will be judged and it will be scored, and then because of that, that will be eligible for awards. So the awards are, there's top 3 places, first, second, third. First place wins $100, and their work is kept in the school as part of the school's permanent art collection. So you guys see that all the time, right? All the artwork in the halls that has like the little nameplates, those are all previous winners from previous years of this event, okay? You do have the option, you'll see it in the entry form. It says something like, are you willing to let the school keep and display your work if you win? Yes or no. You can select no if you want to keep your work yourself or if you don't want the school to have it. But know that that might affect whether or not the judges select you for first place. They might choose to select somebody for first place who is willing to have their work kept in the school because that is part of the prize. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's a few things that kind of could affect the judging, but we don't know for sure. We never know for sure how it will be judged because the judges are different every year. So I just want to make you aware of that. All right, both art shows sections will be viewable by the public, and they do have different forms. So choose carefully when you are submitting. And if you're going to submit more than one piece, you can do it all in the same form right here. Okay? They both have the same deadline. Matting and like the finishing presentation quality is all the same between them. Questions? Does that make more sense now? Okay, and then like I said, now that you guys know about that, the rest of the school, like people that don't have an art class, don't know me, like are not familiar with NDA art, are also eligible to submit work to the jury show. So you might have friends who have questions, now you guys can be experts and ambassadors and you can answer those questions and or just send them to me. Okay? All right, you guys will get access to those links tomorrow morning.